Okay.
I think the reason why Hong Kong Exchange has become so big over the past 2 decades is largely due to its ability to create a quality market and to attract Chinese companies to CLEs in Hong Kong. I mean, if you look at the market capitalization, 60% of our market capitalizations belong to Chinese companies, which was only a few percentage 20 years ago.
Right. But in terms of when you compete with China, now that the government in China is, promoting Shanghai, at least overtly, as a domestic market in that sense, isn't it time for Hong Kong to offer different platforms apart from Hong Kong Exchange?
I don't think any exchange in the world is able to rely on overseas listings. Right? I believe in the long run, all exchanges in the world will converge to the same international standards and best practices. Right? And because of local practices, because of the fact that the market intermediaries, some of them are global in nature, right? It is much difficult for you to rely on overseas companies. Today, obviously, what you can say is that we have some advantages because China operates a essentially closed capital account regime. Renminbi is not free convertible, right? And a lot of people are saying that if China further deregulates and Shanghai and Shenzhen will compete with Hong Kong, what will happen to Hong Kong? My view is this: it always depends on whether the exchange will be able to maintain its quality. Right? And by quality is a lot of meaning.
You've said quality maybe 20 times in this interview. It's something that you obviously passionately, pay attention to as a professional. Final point: what do you think that exchanges around the world face in terms of the challenges of transformation taking place today? If from an unbiased point of view of a retired man, looking at the exchange world, how would you describe how it's going to morph?
I think the exchanges have to remember that they are operating a platform. I've been saying this for many, many years, and people at the World Federation Exchange know about my view,
yes,
which used to be minority anyway in the past.
Yeah.
The exchange is just like an airport. Right? You have to ensure that your platform is decent, your technical systems are robust. You don't fail, right? Even 1 second. And your products and services meet with the demands of your market intermediaries. The brokers are like the airline companies. They can expand internationally. They can seek mergers and acquisitions, right? But for exchange to move away from the notion that you are operating a platform, instead concentrating on cross-border mergers and acquisition, I think you will then lose your focus. If you concentrate too much cross-border, right, you will then working on a lot of initiatives that do not generate cost synergy, that do not give you business alliances. I've seen failure in the past few years with major cross-border mergers and acquisitions.
Between
in-house,
yes,
in-house is okay because you're operating under the same legal structure,
yes,
same market.
So you're not a fan
culture.
of the OMX, the New York Stock Exchange Euronext merger?
I think people can make a judgment how much money they have provided in the last few years.
How much value they've created,
yeah.
you mean?
I mean they have to provide.
The one fault I would say, if at all there is one, in your airport analogy is that the fact that we are going into a dematerialized world means that it's no longer physical airport infrastructure. it's virtual. And exchanges as a business itself would be virtual. And
I don't think so.
It doesn't matter whether you're in Hong Kong or...
I don't think so. Because you have to go back to the first principle that I have said, home market. Home market, right? I believe if the Hong Kong people do not buy, for example, any Hong Kong blue chips, why should overseas investor buy the blue chips in Hong Kong, right? People come to Singapore to buy the best Singaporean companies. People go to New York to buy the best American companies, right? Exchanges are just like airports. I just mentioned about the brokers acting like the airline company.
Right.
They go anywhere. An investor in Hong Kong, if he wants to buy securities, lives in New York, London, Brazil, India, Singapore, Tokyo, no problem. You ring your global broker, they can do it for you, right? So there's no need to buy an American company listed in New York via a connections between New York and Hong Kong, right? So these principles, I believe when I was exchanged, I observed it quite diligently. So I focus all my time on improving the quality of the exchange, working with my colleagues, the directors, infrastructure, information dissemination, risk management, rules and regulation, adoption of international standards and best practices,
right,
reducing transaction costs and so forth. So these are the things that I focus. And as a result, people will say that obviously you don't have a big vision, right? But over the past 7 years, I think it's proven that the exchange has been very successful, and I believe the exchange in Hong Kong, if it has been able to maintain the quality, will become even more successful in spite of competitions from any other exchanges, including exchanges in mainland China. And furthermore, what I would like to say is this: Hong Kong is very different from many countries. Hong Kong adopts a very free, open, fair, efficient and transparent mechanism as a result of its 150 years under the UK colonial era. And Hong Kong now is part of mainland China. Hong Kong understands China very well, same culture, history, and been doing business with them.
Yes.
So I believe this combination will ensure that Hong Kong will continue to attract investors and issuers to do business in Hong Kong. And the very big principle that Hong Kong people will have to focus on is the rule of law.
Yes.
Respect for property rights.
Yes.
And respect for market forces.
Thank you very much for your insights and for homing in to the point that keep your house in order and the rest of the world will figure its way out.
Thank you much. Thank you.